day, and you're welcome to yet another episode of the Blue Table Talk Show. This is the migration show that helps Nigerians make informed decisions about migration. My name is Eniton Otedri Birunke, and I'm your host as usual. And with me today in the studio are two amazing human beings. I have with me Ms. Mienye Badejo, as well as Mrs. Ijoma Ifuebu, who is the head of migration Southwest for the National Commission for Migrants, Refugees, and Internally Displaced Persons. Thank you, and you're welcome to the Blue Table Talk Show. Today, we're going to be looking at something very interesting. We're looking at migration policies and support for migrants, for asylum seekers, returnees, and even migrants in transit. We're going to look at the role of government, both locally and globally, in the protection of migrants' rights. How are they able to access safe legal pathways? What about the bottlenecks that act as barriers that are discouraging people from seeking legal options and that are making them go through irregular means despite the associated risk? But before we go on and we start to ask our guests the few questions that we have for them, let's listen to Miko Banti on the streets of Lagos.
Nigerians are not desperate, actually. They're actually looking out for a better life. And the reason why there are no risk, why there are no much conversation concerning this topic is because the government is not even interested. Because if we have these basic amenities, if they could provide this basic need, I don't think anyone would want to leave.
Everybody now, they'll feel like, after any I'm will just run, I'm will just come off for this place. But truly, it's not right. That's what I have to say. It's not right. Most of them, they are just enjoying their life, going through the desert and going through road and whatever they are calling it. And it's not nice at all.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me here. My name is Ijoma Ifuebu, the head of migration, National Commissions for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, NCFRMI. The National Commissions for Refugees, I have to do a brief introduction about my commission.
Yes, please go ahead. Well, you're more than welcome to do that.
The National Commissions for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, the government coordinating agency that is in charge, that is saddled with the responsibility to care for refugees, migrants, IDPs, that is internally displaced persons, stateless persons, and returnees in Nigeria. As a coordinating agency, we work together with different partners, both government and non-governmental organizations, such as the IOM, the Ministry of Labor and Employment. We have she's here with me, the director. We have we work with the NAPTIP. We have the LASEMA, that's the Lagos State Emergency, the National Emergency Management Commission, and we also have the Federal Airport Aviation Authority. To have a lot of partners who we work with in ensuring that the mandate is being secured and all that. So who is a refugee? Because most times people mistake who is a refugee, who's an asylum seeker, who's a returnee, who is an IDP and all that. So a refugee is someone who has left his country of origin, country of stay, to another country, who has crossed an international border to another country because of fear of persecution for reason of race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or member of a political social group. So this is the definition of a refugee, somebody who has crossed an international border. So for you to be a refugee in another country, you must have been able to have passed through the 5 convention grounds, which is race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or a member of a political group. So we have our asylum seekers. Asylum seekers are people that haven't gotten the status yet, because a refugee is someone that has already gotten the status. But if you have not gotten the status, you're still an asylum seeker trying to go through the process. There's an asylum process where you come in. When they come in, then we have migrants. I just talked about refugee and asylum seekers, so we are in migrants. So migrants are persons who move from one place to another, either for economic reasons, social reasons, and all that. And we have the internal migrants and the external migrants. And we also have the regular and the regular migrants. So we have the returnees are the ones that have traveled back and traveled and finally are coming back, maybe because of some reasons that maybe the purpose of their stay has been defeated and they are now back home.
So, okay, now to go to the real crux of the question, which I started with, And I would like to throw that to both of my guests to answer. Now, right now, as Nigeria stands, and in line with the international community, do we really have specific policies that are there to support migrants? People that actually migrants are leaving Nigeria, and even returnees. Because find that returnees and even irregular people that are in transit through the country, we know that we're looking at there's a global migration compact. We have this migration framework that we're just talking about now. But how is it really applicable? Even so now, especially with your agency that is doing that, NCFMR, and we have Ministry of Labour, which is really focused on labor migration, which is also, we have realized that labor migration is usually the push. People are going for economic reasons. So are there specific policies at all in Nigeria? Because we're just, the migration space in Nigeria is a lot of information is not out there as to what really is going on. So to our listeners, do we have any at all? Any specific policies at all that support the entire migration space in Nigeria and for Nigerians transiting out of here, or those that are even coming in?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
For my commission, first of all, we have the National Commission, the NCFRMI Act of 2004. Then we also have the National Migration Policy of 2015. Further, we also have some agencies with their own laws that we also work with. We have the NAPTIP law. That one has to do with people that has been trafficked out and all that.
Okay, so I was going to say I'm very calling So I would like to ask you now, with regards to the Ministry of Labour and Employment and labour migration, what exactly would be the beneficial? Well, maybe I shouldn't use the word beneficial. What policies would you say really are there that are focused on labour migration, on migrants, on returnees as well? Because there's quite a lot of that interplay is sometimes there's a lot of mix in that space there. What would you say policies are in that space with regards to?
Okay, so thank you so much for having me here. It's been quite a while. My name is Benye Badejo, of course, and incidentally, labor migration is something that policies ultimately. The reason why it looks like there isn't any information or it looks very dodgy is because in the aspects of labor migration, for instance, it's when people hear labor, they think it's something that is going to attack them or something that has to do with the infringement. Yes, it does, but there's a way it goes. So the Federal Ministry of Labour is primarily about labor administration, and it's cross-cuts, of which labor migration is an aspect of it. However, everything is hinged under the Labour Act. So the Ministry of Labour is on the exclusive list of the Constitution that gives labor administration being industrial relations, labor inspections, employment, creation, services, safety and health, social security, and skill. So if you juxtapose that with the function of the Ministry of Labour vis-a-vis the migration field, which is really what our concern is. It means we are taking care of the whole of labor administration, where NCFRMI they are the experts in migration. So when they do the fundamentals, the receiving, the documenting, all of their processes, it now becomes how do you integrate them into the system.
Are you dreaming of a brighter future? Are you planning to japa? We know the world is calling. We know you want to leave Nigeria at all costs. But before you go, have you heard of the Migrant Project? We provide free counseling services on the risks of irregular migration to help you understand the challenges of life in European countries if you plan to japa wrongly, either by road or sea. Guess what? We also provide support, referrals, and access to some local alternatives for jobs, skills training, and mental health support. Our counselors are here to empower you to have more agency in your migration decision-making. Call these hotlines to speak with our counselors. This is a 100% free, individualized, and anonymous service. Edo State 0816-529-8860. Lagos State 0813-777-0863. 0814-783-5852. You can also follow us on Facebook at The Migrant Project and The Migrant Project Lagos. Choose the path of hope. Don't risk your life. Stay home and thrive. This message is brought to you by the Migrant Project Nigeria.
So in the reintegration process, that is where labor migration is most entrenched, because if we are using the Labor Act, we are telling them this is what you need to do. These are the skills that are available. These are the placements that are can be done, because we are regulating, we are ensuring safety, because we inspect workplaces, we inspect businesses. We want to be sure that the kind of reintegration that they get, they are protected, because we are about decent work and safety, and prosperity, of course. So then, of course, institutions that also offer employment creation, and also I think primarily it's the misunderstanding of the misconception of what labor migration is. Ijoma has said virtually everything. We can't even begin to even go near where. But for us, for FMLE, it's labor, it's work. How do you get to work? How are you protected? And the Labor Act do all of that. So if we apply the Labor Act, and then we now have the employment policy, which identifies all these critical stakeholders.
Okay, so Ijoma, I'd like to ask you, we have heard quite a bit about what NCFRMI does. And we would like to know now, are there ways, can you tell us, even though you said a bit about already, what ways the agency, the commission, actually collaborates with other international organizations to provide support?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. So the NCFRMI has a strong partnership with both non-governmental and governmental NGOs. We have a strong partnership with the IOM, I mentioned it earlier. We have with the Federal Ministry of Labor, NAPTIP, NASEMA, NEMA, FAND, Federal Port Aviation Authority, and all that. So we have, first of all, we have the SOP we use for return, reintegration, and readmission process. What's standard operating procedure that we use, that guides us, that is a guiding principle that helps us when during the return, readmission, and reintegration process of all our returnees, and that's what we use as a guiding principle. And we have the National Migration Policy too that we use. And for that, we also in the reintegration process. Right? The reintegration process, we have the referral mechanism too that we also apply, because the commission doesn't do everything by themselves. So we look at, is it like a case by case scenario? So if it's cases that has to do with health, then we'll have to refer to the Federal Ministry of Health. If it's cases that have to do with NAPTIP, then we refer, cases that have to do with trafficking of persons, we refer to National NAPTIP, who investigates the case and looks at how the person was being trafficked, and they also punish offenders. They have the NAPTIP Act there.
Okay, now that you said that, can you say now inside this now, what initiatives or programs have you actually done or have been put in place to ensure that there's protection and well-being of vulnerable migrants?
Okay.
Can you answer? So people that are, what about migrants that are, people that are trying to come back, people that are vulnerable migrants are there, or people that have been trafficked? Okay, what initiatives actually on ground to support them?
That, I mentioned that there are referral systems in the SOP. So when it has to do with a case that has to do with trafficking of persons, the NCFRMI refers to the NAPTIP, who handles, because they also have the NAPTIP Act that protects and provides for all these persons. Then when it has to do with the health issues or people that are returning and all that, we refer to the Federal Ministry of Health. So
there's a strong referral system.
Yeah, there's a strong referral system that the partners all use to work in hand in hand with.
So, I would like to ask now, with regards to reintegration and policies around employment opportunities for returnees or for migrants. Well, because I also know that beyond just returnees, even people that are trying to, I know at some point in the course of my engagement with in the migration space, I know that there's some things around ethical migration. People that want to go abroad. We had cases where we had the women that were being trafficked or that found themselves stranded in Qatar, was in Doha at that time. So what would you say, what initiatives or programs would you say are in place right now to support employment for migrants, for returnees as well, or for vulnerable people, minors?
Okay, so I'll still go back to the fundamental functions of the ministry as a whole. And that is where we drew out the policy on labor migration. The policy on labor migration basically breaks down what the Labour Act says pertaining to employment, protection of women, children, trafficking, employment of young persons, social security, all the works. So the policies are a guiding principle, and it identifies all of the stakeholders involved in, because it's labor. Labor is life. Labor is everything, it's in every aspect. So we work with everybody basically. For the Ministry of Labor, especially on migration and returnees, we provide information to the public on how to protect employee rights, what you need to know, available jobs. I mentioned earlier that, we do inspections, we inspect, we have the sole responsibility of a mandate of inspecting workplaces. We verify to make sure that people are protected, because those businesses, the organizations we work with, have to be verified before we work with them. And then, of course, we have the Migrant Resource Center that was established in, I think, 2015 in Lagos, Benin, in Abuja, and now in Nasarawa State. Yes, headed by very, very dynamic officers that are very well versed in labor migration, applying the laws. We need to be very, very specific here. Ministry of Labor does not bite or make people feel uncomfortable. They are like, and then where employment is, because we inspect workplaces, we have a direct contact with the needs of employers.
Thank you, viewers. If you're still watching us, you are on to the Blue Table Talk Show, the migration talk show that helps Nigerians make informed decisions. Today, we are looking at what policies are there in migration in our country, Nigeria, what government is doing, what agencies are doing, how it is that we are playing in the migration space. And I have with me two women from different agencies, from the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment, Ms. Mienye Badejo, who is the Zonal Director for the ministry, and I also have with me for Southwest. I also have with me Mrs. Ijoma, who is the Head of Migration Southwest for the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons. And as we round off on today's episode, which is actually about what it is, so that you can know that even though it seems like not much may be done in the migration space, there's quite a lot that is being done. It's just about information being there. And I'd like to ask, and this question is still going back to Auntie Mimi, I'm going to ask her again. I call Auntie Mimi, so it's not just me, but it's like that. I was asking the question around, the question I will be asking is still around the issue of employment, of labor. And the question that I wanted to ask right now would be, I'm an artisan. I feel that maybe I have just school science or I have an OND, my qualification, I feel may not be strong enough. And it just, whatever, are there any simple, or should I say safe, legal pathways that they can explore to migrate for work? And maybe, of course, education, because and any other reasons that they want to go.
Yes. Skills, of course. We know skills is what rules the world now. The Ministry of Labour has the Skills and Certification Department that issues trade test certificates that are globally recognized. Yes, so that needs to be put out. Okay. That are globally recognized for artisans. Yes, so for artisans, the test, and then they give them those trade test certificates depending on the level of skills. Then, I mentioned earlier that we also issue out licenses. The Ministry of Labour issues licenses to private employment agencies for local and international employment.
Okay, fantastic.
So if you come to the Migrant Resource Center or the job centers that are all virtually, the job centers are virtually everywhere in Nigeria, and get this information, you will be directed to either the because the private the private recruiters also give us their vacancies. They actually come and give. So when we have these info sessions and employability trainings, these are informations that are given to them. But for the skill, because most employers are really looking for skills. I told that we all need to agree that the informal sector is what really drives the economy, and is now driving globally. So you see professionals getting the skills.
That's true. That's true.
So
Thank
yes,
you.
that's the Ministry of Labour offers that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, now, okay, Joma, to you, I would like to ask you, we're talking about the issues around NCFRMI, and the question would be, how is your agency addressing the humanitarian aspect of migration? Are there any humanitarian aids that are given to people, or that your agency routes through other agencies, or your commission routes to other agencies?
Yes, we do. We have a lot on ground. We have, apart from the referral programs that I said initially, the commission provides a lot of support. We have the psychosocial support that we provide. We have the housing one that we give them when they come in to settle. Like when they return back to Nigeria, we have a shelter for them where they can stay interim pending when they were able to get all their details, like their documentation and all that. And even at their IOM, our international partners, give them telephones, because most of them, when they come in, like the returnees, they don't even have phones, because most of them were detained where they were coming from, so they don't have access to reach their family members or anybody. So we'll have the IOM on ground to give them telephone numbers and even register them instant at the transit center, so that we'll have to have a communication with them and give them transport to go back on for the ones that want to go reunite to their family. Then we'll after that we'll start following up on them, because it's not enough to travel and come back and the government doesn't have anything in place for you. That will make them to go back again. So we're very big on reintegration. So when it comes to reintegration, we ensure that each one of them, if not all, is being reintegrated back, because that's our sole purpose, ensuring they are being reintegrated. Because most of the time when they are not, if the reintegration is not working effectively, you find that most of them want to go back. But when they come back and they see that the government are putting things in place to ensure that, they are being settled back into the society, they want to stay back and all.
Thank you. So thank you so much, ladies. Thank you. It's been an enlightening session, looking at what policies are in place, looking at what our commission agencies, the ministry is doing, and seeing what government is also doing. Today has been an interesting episode on the Blue Table Talk Show. We have taken a good look at what migration policies exist in Nigeria. My name still remains Enito Oteji Birunke, and I'd like to say a very big thank you to my guests for gracing us on the show today. Please keep watching the Blue Table Talk Show, where we help Nigerians make informed migration decisions. So we'll come to your screen next time. Thank you.
Share you the dream of a brighter future. I be you the plan to Japa. We not say the world they call you. We not say you won't leave Nigeria by all means. But before you go, share you don't hear of the migrant project. We they give free counseling service so that you no go enter wahala if you want Japa. And we go also help you understand of the small wahala wait there for these European countries, whether you plan to japa by road or by sea. Shey you know say we dey also provide support, or we dey refer people to get access to some local jobs, skill training, and mental health support. Our counselors also dey to help you know the things where you need to know before you leave this country. Make you call this hotline if you want talk to any of our counselors. For Edo State, make you call 081-652-98862. And for Lagos State, make you call 081-3777-0863 or 081-478-35852. Make you know say you fit also follow us for Facebook at The Migrant Project or The Migrant Project Lagos. Make you choose the better part of Oppo, no risk your life. Stay home to make am. Now the Migrant Project Nigeria, now bring on this message.